Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a smashing weekend so far, as it is, of course, Sunday evening, or certainly for me, it is Sunday evening. We are just going to be delivering a nice and chilled out video. What we are going to do in this video is really one of two things. To start things off, we're going to go over some of the news-related articles regarding Cardano to really kick the video off, go through a number of them, like this one here that's talking about Charles Hoskinson saying that Cardano will have the same type of performance as the likes of Solana by the end of the year. We know we are in the Basho era, and we've got a number of significant hard forks coming up, like the Vasil hard fork, which we've speculated on the fact that the price may move up in prior fashion to what it has done in the run-up to hard forks previously for this one. But we will be getting into the charts in the second half of the video once we've spoken about some of the news related articles. We're going to be revisiting the rumors of a burn mechanism rollout. This is unfounded. We covered it in yesterday's video and said that it really didn't reference what the burn rumors have come from, had nothing to do with what IOHK were essentially saying, or Charles, who have all come out previously very strongly against burning Cardano. It had everything to do with Hydra. And as I see it, this was what it was referencing. And it's grown arms and legs since then. So we will be covering that. And then, of course, for the second half of the video, we're going to be diving into the charts on a monthly, a weekly, and a daily time frame, looking at some of your traditional indicators, because they are suggesting that things have reset from the kind of highs that we were at, where things potentially were overbought. And they've reset to what may be a relative low for Cardano, in the sense that we may see upward movement soon on the back end of this. Certainly historically, when we've been at many of these levels, we have seen a move to the upside in SHU. Also, we'll be talking about Google Trends to really confirm all that and just show that there is very low retail involvement within these markets. Retail and their involvement has typically timed the top and the bottoms of bull and bear markets previously. It's one of the reasons we don't think that Bitcoin and crypto is in a bear market, because the on-chain analytics just don't support it. Short-term hodlers typically have indicated highs, and long-term hodlers, being at a high point, typically have indicated lows. Those metrics do not suggest that we are at a high point for the bull market, and I actually think that we are going to see continuation. And crypto's on a very pivotal point, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to it becoming regulated and accepted. We've not seen any kind of real adoption yet, and that's still all to come for the crypto space, which is why I am ever bullish. So let's get into it, guys. Let's really start by taking a look at the overall cryptocurrency market. In yesterday's video, we did say we saw a nice little pump for the crypto space. We did issue a warning and say not to FOMO into these markets. These are not FOMOing markets. March 2020 onwards there was a number of fundamental reasons for that, like governments around the world, in combat of what took place, flooded the system with money, which allowed equities, commodities, cryptos to really flourish as they benefited from that. We are in an uncertain time period. There is lots of uncertainty surrounding markets generally, whether that be geopolitical reasons, whether that be macroeconomic reasons, or monetary policy within the United States and across the world, which is genuinely, the United States is a really good kind of blueprint for other governments and central banks. So it's not FOMO markets at the moment. Ultimately, crypto will prevail. And it is quite hard not to FOMO in, because we all know that a run to the upside is coming for Cardano and a number of other cryptos. But it's really trying to time that. And nobody's going to time that perfectly. So it can be quite hard not to FOMO. But remember, very choppy markets. Weekends are very low volume. You can often get a kind of fake out only for it to dump on a Sunday. All things that you guys should remember. So we will be diving into the charts, talking about a number of things. Let's talk about some of these articles. This one reads, Charles Hoskinson, Cardano will have the same type of performance as Solana by the end of the year. Primarily, he's talking about the scalability that Solana has with their high TPS. Blockchains have a kind of triangle of trade-offs. Solana have almost forfeited decentralization for scalability. Of course, they do say that they have a plan to roll this out and kind of get it more centralized as they progress as a blockchain. But there was a few interesting things that were quoted from this. This year, all of these updates are coming that are massively improving the scalability and expressiveness of the system, so that you'll get the same type of performance you're seeing from systems like Solana and so forth, or at least in the same order of magnitude. Not only do you get all the security and correctness, the resilience, and a great 3 million person community, but you also get the best of what competitors are bringing to bear. We know this is a huge year. We've got the Vasil hard fork in June, which will allow for a lot of pipelining and sort of make it's really to do with a lot of the Plutus scripts and smart contracts. But you have lots of people waiting to deploy for this. We know the metrics on chain for Cardano were strong. Continuous growth in terms of a user base, continuous growth in terms of total value locked within the DeFi space, continuous parameter updates for the chain. We're growing and gaining daily. And the price, Cardano, where it is currently now, has a lot more to offer when it was at all-time highs. Something that's important to remember and focus on, in my opinion. Another quote reads, June and October are going to be a great months for us because those are the months where we're turning a lot of new features on in terms of improvements in Plutus, sidechains, pipelining, and there is some phenomenal applied research threads like Hydra. So it's going to be a huge year for us. We've said this time and time again. Our DeFi space is only getting going. You guys know that I'm a big ambassador for stablecoins on the Cardano blockchain. That is going to be a game changer. That's going to allow total value locked to go through the roof. We've seen TERRA do amazingly, not taking anything from them based on their USDT, which has nearly half or more than half of Cardano's entire market cap just locked in it alone, which ultimately goes to benefit the TERRA Luna ecosystem. Cardano is on the verge of something similar. Guys, I honestly believe this is going to be a big year for Cardano. That is not financial advice. You guys know that I have a long-term plan. And I'm a net accumulator. I don't tend to FOMO in. I do have some dry powder sat on the sides, more than I usually would, just given the sort of uncertainty. But ultimately, it's only sat there ready to deploy into the crypto space. So that was certainly an interesting article. Let's dive into this. CoinShares unveil staked Cardano ETP, which is essentially a exchange-traded vehicle, which allows people to gain from the yields. The reason that I bring this up is because not only are things taking place on-chain, off-chain, not only are we growing from a blockchain perspective, we're also growing from sort of applications to it. So exposure via financial instruments to Cardano. This is all going to help liquidity, whether that be listing on exchanges, you name it, guys, Cardano is doing it. And it's becoming more and more attractive and appealing as time goes on. This we mentioned in yesterday's video, and I told everybody that there was nothing official. This has grown arms and legs since the status update, which is really where they got the notion of a burn mechanism. This has grown arms and legs, and they actually quoted something completely different here, which I'm not even sure what it was. But essentially, Cardano are not exploring. They have absolutely came out in opposition of a burn mechanism for ADA. What this was referring to, or the initial rumor started on, was this paragraph here in the status update from Cardano. The Hydra team held a planning session and updated the Hydra development roadmap. They created technical documentation and started working on the new website features, user manuals, core concepts, and API references. Finally, they inspected the option of a token minting and burning with a Hydra head, along with scenarios of using tokens instead of datums. So what they're talking about, and I think this is right, I'm not 100% sure, is not burning Cardano, but Hydra is a layer 2. So Polygon is a layer 2. On Ethereum, they have their own token, but it cross-references the actual blockchain itself. So Ethereum's like the settlement layer for Polygon. Hydra would be a similar thing for Cardano, if that makes sense. So what they potentially are talking about is when you want to, the activity that takes place on Hydra would be minted and then burn when cross-referenced with the actual blockchain. So the way I'm looking at it is I think it's a way for them to move tokens from one way to another, kind of like a sidechain would, if you will. But sidechains often have their own like wrapped tokens. So there's no actual confirmation that Cardano is exploring burning tokens. The reason for burning tokens is quite simple in what most blockchains have kind of implied it as, like BNB and a number of others. It's really to increase scarcity of the underlying asset, and it's really a price metric that benefits holders essentially. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Hey, I think look, I think if blockchains have come up with a way to stocks do this all the time to increase the scarcity and thus the price of their token, albeit, you know, I'm all for that. Some people say, oh, it's artificial, whatever. I'm not playing that game of holier than thou. But there's no actual official word that this is, you know, Cardano looking to explore burning ADA. In fact, that's not the case, in my opinion. So let's get into the charts, guys. First of all, really what I want to do is take a look at a monthly. And remember, everything that we're going to talk about here is dependent on a number of things being almost allowing this to take place. Like Bitcoin needs to behave. We know Bitcoin is still that tide that rises and sinks all ships. And geopolitical events. Something could happen on a geopolitical scale. Your markets go down with it. That's why these are not FOMO markets, because there is so much uncertainty on that front. Yes, it's become less uncertain than potentially it was a few weeks ago, but it's still uncertain, and you've got to sort of tread with caution. You don't want to jump straight into shark-infested waters when you can't see what's beneath you, because the chances are you're going to jump, you're going to put your flipper straight onto a shark's nose, which is a bad idea. Anyway, so if we take a look at the MACD, issue we've got with the MACD on the monthly is the data isn't really there. We've not had a long time period where we can really analyze this. What you've got to remember with a lot of these indicators as well is they were designed for the traditional markets. Crypto moves in a very different manner, but I still do think they have a degree, certainly if you look at them historically, of accuracy, potentially not as much as your traditional. If we look at the stock RSI, look at where we are, guys. The last time that we were here, you can see me moving my cursor. I'm not going to draw because it will bring everything up. The last time we were here was on December or October, December 2019. So back over here, guys. Really a low point over the March 2020, which was a kind of black swan event, if you will. Really a low point for the crypto market. You're there today. Take this information and do with it what you will. I'm not necessarily all I'm suggesting here is that if you look historically, the places that we are in terms of these indicators, historically, they've been a local bottom that's seen continuation. By local bottom, it doesn't have to be the bottom now. It could bounce along here like it did over here. But you are looking to form that bullish cross on the stock RSI and the monthly. Big time frames matter significantly more. Also, you're lower here on your monthly on your RSI than you've been previously throughout. And at these points, they're typically low points within your bull market, within your bear market that have led to at least a relief rally to the upside. Let's jump down to the weekly time frame and look at this from all sides of view, or all points of view. Start with the stock RSI. You can see where you are. This is the lowest point you've ever been in Cardano's history in regards to the stock RSI. And it's been brutal. We've essentially had, I'll switch back to the monthly quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of continuous downside. You would expect, even in a bear market, typically bear market structure will see you sell off, you'll get a kind of disbelief rally to the upside, and then you'll sell off continuously. This is not that kind of structure. Let's move back to the weekly. Look at your stock RSI, guys. If you look historically at points where your stock RSI has essentially formed this bullish cross, like for example over here was what led us from the rally up to the Alonzo hard fork. You can see over here, you saw a spike. Historically, when this has crossed and you've had that bullish cross, you have seen a move to the upside. Remember, lots going on. Markets are not in a kind of normal ebb and flow at the moment. It's something very important to remember. Stock RSI is at an oversold point. You've almost formed a double bottom here, like you have over here. Very, very typical. Doesn't mean you can't come back down, but what I'm saying to you is, at this point, typically, it's been, go and look at this for yourself. Go onto your trading view, get your indicators up, check it all out. Historically, this has signaled a local bottom. RSI, extremely low point. Yes, we've seen an uptick. We need to see that continuation. Doesn't mean it doesn't come down for a second leg, but this historically throughout Cardano's history hasn't been a bad buying zone on your RSI, your stock RSI, or your MACD. So I just felt like that was something that's always good to go over your technicals, because you don't just want one side of the story. Technical analysis can get thrown the frick out of the window, yeah, in certain situations, but it does help. You want to have a well-rounded review of technicals, fundamentals, and everything, and that's what we try and deliver to you guys on this channel. Remember, it's very Bitcoin focused in the sense that, you know, if Bitcoin decides it wants to not have a bad day, your markets are going with it, unfortunately. And the same with Bitcoin and global markets. You know, if global markets aren't doing too well, we've seen a huge correlation with Bitcoin and risk on assets or risk off assets. And you can see where Bitcoin is currently. It's at this kind of low point. But that doesn't mean that we don't sort of chop along the floor here before making that resurgence. And of course, over here, you've got to remember Bitcoin is, of course, and we speak about it daily on our cryptocurrency market updates, range bound at the moment. We are in a smaller pattern to the upside potentially. I think this is more of a rising, not a rising wedge, a rising triangle than a symmetrical one, which a number of other people have, and that will typically lead to a continuation of the upside, whereas a symmetrical is typically continuation structure with the trend on the short term being down. Bring up the RSI and Bitcoin. Look at where we are, guys. Historically, look at what's happened when we've made that cross. Doesn't have to happen. Stock RSI looks at a low point, and of course your RSI, which we've had higher highs on the chart, lower lows or lower highs on the RSI, which is quite telling. So I do think that some sort of a move is definitely coming. What that looks like is dependent on a number of things. Again, like geopolitical markets and a number of other factors. But remember what's going on here, guys. Crypto is a technological revolution that is going to change the world. There's going to be volatility attached with that, certainly in times like this. If crypto was going away, it would have already done so, given everything that it has come under over the past 2 years. It would have gone away in 2018, by the way, if it was just a nothing burger. It's not. And not only that, all your cryptocurrency companies out there have almost doubled their workforces. Why are they doing that? In expectation that this is a dying industry. They're doing it in preparation for what's to come, and that's the next leg of the crypto space. So that is really all I have for you in this video, guys. Remember, your crypto Google Trends is at pretty much a low point here. Of course, we're going to be higher than we were over here, just simply because more people know about it. It's been more publicized. So we're not going to maybe get down to these kind of involvement levels, but we are typically at a very low point. So that is really all I have for you in this video. Just a nice chilled out, short and sweet Cardano update video, really addressing everything that's going on currently. You know, on-chain and off-chain metrics look good for ADA. It's just a case of seeing what markets bring us, I guess, with the overarching belief that, you know, we are going to see that continuation. Are we going to see a run-up to the hard fork? You look historically, every hard fork, you've seen a run-up. Wrong button. You've seen a run-up to it. Significant run-up to it. Are we going to see a similar thing for Vasil? And remember, we have seen a lot of big whale addresses actually come in and start to accumulate at these lows, suggesting it may also be a local bottom. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Remember, if you're not subscribed, guys, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. Go give me a follow on Twitter. @RealAllInCrypto is my Twitter handle. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful Sunday evening.